Hello, welcome to the new video. Today we are going to see Philidor defense. E4, E5, Knight F3, D6. This is called Philidor defense. White strike the center with D4. After E captures D4, Knight captures D4, Knight C. Here, Black will play Bishop E7. After Knight C3, Bishop E7. There are three lines are there from here. One is Bishop E2 and another one is Bishop F4 and third one is fianchetto style, which comes with G3 and Bishop C4, Bishop E2, Bishop C4 also there, NC3, Bishop E7, one is Bishop E2 and another one is Bishop C4 and G3 and Bishop F4, Bishop F4, Bishop E2, Bishop C4, Bishop F4, G3. Let us see one variation after another variation. These four are major variations in the Philidor defense. Okay, going back, E4, E5, Knight F3, D6, D4, E captures D4, Knight captures D4, Knight F6, Knight C3, Bishop E7. First we are going to see Bishop E2 variation. After Bishop E2, Black simply castle, which is best move. White also castle. After White castles, Black will play Rook E8, which gives indirect pressure on E4 pawn. Some positions Bishop will go back to F8 and thus increasing the pressure on E4 pawn. Right. Here, after Rook E8, White plays Bishop pawn F4. Now the Bishop go back to F8. Now Black attacking the pawn with Knight and Rook. So White protected the E4 pawn with Bishop. How to play from here and what is the ideas for Black? In this position, after Bishop E2, F4 and Bishop F3, you strike the Knight with C5. After Knight retreats, after Knight B3, you just develop the Knight with C6. Rook E1, C4 attacking the Knight. After Knight D4, we strike the center with D5. For example, if Knight goes to D2, this is bad move. However, we strike the center. If Knight, there are no other squares, Knight has to retreat either D2 or D4. Then we strike the center with D5. After Knight D4, Black plays D5. Correct move is Knight takes C6, B takes C6, E5, Knight D7, Knight E2, A5, B3, Queen B6 check and King H1, Bishop A6, Knight G3, A4, Bishop E3, Knight C5, Rook B1, C captures B3, A captures B3, A captures B3, Rook captures B3, Queen D8. This is the position and this is clearly equal for both sides. You can play from any side with this position. But while looking, White is better like that, but it's actually not. We will see another variation in the Philidor defense. After E4, E5, Knight F3, D6, D4, ED4, Knight D4, Knight F6, Knight C3, Bishop E7. We are going to see again the same Bishop E2 variation. What to do from Black? After Bishop E2, you just castle. After castle, you just play Rook E8. After F4, bishop f8, we are attacking the e4 pawn with knight and rook. So white will protect like this. After bishop f3, you strike the knight, c5, knight b3, you just develop the knight with c6. After rook e1, here a6 also playable. After a6, bishop b3, queen c7, bishop f2, bishop to e6. White will attack like this with g4, h6, h3, b5, queen d2, rac8, nd5, bishop captures d5, e captures d5, knight e7, c3, knight g6, bishop g3, rook captures e1, rook captures e1, rook e8, rook captures e8, knight captures e8, king g2, knight f6, h4, knight e7. The position is equal, no one having the advantage, clearly playable for both sides. Thank you. We are going to see another variation in the Philidor defense. After e4, e5, knight f3, d6, d4, e captures d4, knight captures d4, knight f6, knight c3, bishop e7. Earlier we seen bishop g2 variation. Now we are going to see g3 variation. After g3, what to do? You have to do castle first. After bishop g2, you just play same moves like rook e8. White will castle. You retreat the bishop to f8, thus attacking the pawn on e4 with knight and rook. But the problem is here white already protecting with bishop on g2 and knight on c3. Okay, let us see. Here for white, best move h3. What was the idea of h3? If we play bishop to e3, knight will come to g4 to trade the active bishop of white's. So white is stopping that knight g4 idea and plays the move h3. After h3, against this fianchetto variation, you need to close the diagonal of this light square bishop on g2. So you remember this move c6. After h3, c6, rook e1, h6, bishop e3, a5, f4, a4. After a3, knight bd7, g4, knight c5, attacking the pawn on e4, bishop f2, bishop to e6, bishop to h4, queen to b6, bishop to f2. If queen captures pawn, there is nothing wrong. After queen f3, queen b6, knight captures e6, rook captures e6, h4, here the best move h5. After g captures h5, queen a5, bishop to d4, rook a e8, bishop h3, rook e7, bishop captures, pawn captures, and the position is, it is equal. There is nothing wrong with white and black. You can play from any side. Thank you. Let us see another variation in the Philidor defense. After e4, e5, knight f3, d6, d4, e captures d4, knight captures d4, knight f6, knight c3, bishop to e7. What we are going to see? g3. After g3, black will play castle. Bishop g2, rook e8, white castles, bishop f8. After h3, this is the best move, c6, rook e1, a5, g4. Whenever g4 comes, you stop any kind of g5 idea with h6, there is no problem. After a3, knight a6, bishop to f4, for example, knight c5, attacking the pawn, queen d2, bishop to e6, ra d1, queen b6, queen c1 or knight captures e6, anything, no problem. Knight captures e6, knight captures e6, bishop to e3 and queen to c7. Here you cannot capture this pawn because it is blunder. I will show you. After rook b1, the queen captures a3 and rook b3, the black queen is trapped and white is clearly winning in this position. So earlier position is completely different where the knight on c3 is not protected, but here knight on c3 is protected with queen, so you cannot capture the pawn. If bishop e3, you just go back to the c7 and the position is equal, there is no problem. After moves like f4, black will play queenside with b5, king h1, b4, ab4, ab4, knight e2, rook a2, for example, rook to b1, rook doubling, rook a8, sorry, rook e8. If g5, h captures g5, f captures g5, knight d7. There is nothing wrong for white and for black. You can play from any side. I hope you gain some advantage. Thank you.